Dollars on our mind. Ideas all the time. We might get distracted, but we're building wealth just fine. This is dollars and distractions. If we went off track, just know we're coming back. More money, more mindset, no holding back. Dollars and distractions.
Hey, I'm Maryanne,
And I'm Bec.
and this is Dollars and Distractions.
Yeah. So today, episode 7.
8.
Is it 8?
I think so.
Okay, 8. Well, that's
I think it's episode 8.
episode 8.
Don't quote me.
So today we've got what banks really look at, and it's not just income.
Yes.
Yes, that's pretty important.
Actually, it's interesting because I just had a conversation with a client a couple of days ago about how come my friends who are on a little bit less income have a debt of this much, and now you're telling me I can only borrow that much.
Yeah.
And I think some people think that it's just on their income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there's so much more to it, hey?
Absolutely.
And all the banks are very different, aren't they? They're different.
Correct.
pricing. Yeah. So, and that's one of the big notes there is that income matters, but stability matters more often too. So like you could be on a large income, but, be, chopping and changing employments or what have you, but then you could have someone on a bit lower of an income and they've got that stability to show you, they've been there for a longer time. But then all the different types of employment too.
Yes.
Part-time, casual,
Contract.
self-employed, contract.
So, and I've had clients in the past who have had, say, contract work.
Yeah.
And it's something that, depending on the industry, so this was in council, and it was very common to get 6 monthly contracts.
Yeah.
And they knew that that had been their employment style for the last however many years. So they had somewhat in themselves comfort in that stability, even though it's only 6 months worth of work at a time.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for you as the person borrowing to have that understanding, as opposed to someone who might be a brand new industry, you've been offered a contract, that contract ends in 6 months, your loan term is 30 years.
Yeah.
So what happens after that?
Yeah. And I think we've touched on this before in another episode, but I'm sure we've both seen it, like when you say you've got a tradie and all of a sudden they stop wages and they start their own business, or you do something completely different, but then 6 months into it, you've got a self-employed human and nothing to show how you've gotten that income, but you might be earning quite a lot in that, but you've got to be able to show it.
Correct.
As well. And it's got to be profitable.
I saw a funny reel the other day, and it was, I don't know, some industry, some person working, and they said, I just want to be able to show the ATO I earn $20,000 a year while showing the bank I earn $200,000 a year.
I understand. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? No.
I've had some frustrated people in the past, like, go, I earn this, I can borrow more, but then, the notice of assessment says 10,000. Like, so the bank is going to go off which is, again, that point that we always come back to. It's good to have the conversation first because, one, you've got to give your accountant a heads up, right, to say that's your goal as well.
Yeah.
And what that will look like on paper. Not to be dodgy either.
But just, yeah, absolutely. Because at your accountant, most people go to their accountant with the goal of save me as much money, tax, as I can.
Yes.
And so they'll do whatever they can, but then there might be some expenses like depreciation or something like that where XYZ Bank won't add them back into your income because it's not technically a real cost.
Yeah.
So, there's little things like that might impact, or franking credits, the way that they disperse the income out of the company sometimes has an impact on whether we can use that or not.
Yeah.
It's all very different
Yeah, and I think it's all good when you go an accountant, and that's their job too, is to save you tax, but whether that's in a trust or whether it's that, but what that then looks like on paper to a bank if you're trying to borrow is
Absolutely.
very different. Yeah, same with casual employment, like it is looked at very differently. We had a joke the other day, like full-time, someone says they're full-time casual. Well,
no such thing.
No such thing, yeah.
As far as the banks are concerned and their policy, there's no such thing.
Yeah, if you're casual, you're casual, and if you are full-time, you're full-time. So different criteria for both, right, for different lenders.
Yeah.
As to how long you need to show.
And so on that, the different criteria typically we see for policy-wise is they'll take 80% of your casual income. And I have clients saying to me, oh, but, I've got 3 years in this role as a casual. They only offer casual employment. You can see consistently my income is always the same. But the bank, they don't make these rules up to be a pain in the arse.
No.
It can feel like it sometimes, but they make these rules because they want to lend safely to their clients.
Yeah.
The last thing we want as well is having a client call us up and say, hey, I'm in trouble. I can't afford my mortgage. And we've done a loan using 100% of their casual income, and now they're off sick and they don't get sick pay or holiday pay, and they've got no income.
Yeah. I think on that, I don't think the banks go out of their way not to help someone, but if you actually logically look at it, if you've got person A and person B, they're all different risks, aren't they? So if you are casual, you don't have sick pay. So if you are not well, you're a different risk than as somebody who's going to keep getting an income, or vice versa with, self-employed, I guess, if you come from different industries. How long will you last in that industry? It's a different risk to someone who's full-time for the last 10 years at the same job. Very different.
And that's not to say that, you
can't.
Or that you might get a loan today and tomorrow get made redundant. No one can see into the future, but all the bank is trying to do is mitigate as much risk as possible to make sure that whatever property you purchase, you can still live in into the future, because they don't want to repossess. They're not in the business of repossessing properties.
No. And different size lenders are going to be different too.
Correct.
With what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
But that's where it comes back to the conversation, hey? Having the conversation early to know what you can and can't do, and what you look like on paper, what the strategy is.
Yeah.
We can come up with a strategy.
Well, that takes me to another point. So one of the things that would go into your borrowing power can also be your past management or mismanagement of money.
Yeah.
I've had, and I think I've said this in an episode prior, I've had clients that had a phenomenal income, really good income, terrible conduct on their accounts.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because they didn't have money. It's because they had direct debits coming out, that they had money going everywhere, and they just weren't organised.
Yeah.
So they'd overdraw their account and then top it back up with the money once it was overdrawn. And that was continually happening.
Yeah.
And so sometimes to a bank or a lender, that can look like you don't manage. Oh, let's be honest, they weren't managing them.
No. Yeah.
And that can be a red flag.
Yeah.
To a bank.
I think more than people realise, or like back in when at the bank style, I mean they're all different, but you'd get a different there was a Cat 1 to Cat 5.
Yes.
And a Cat 5 was like very rare to get through that application to get through.
So once they see misconduct multiple times, you're put into a category where it's very difficult.
Like a dating red flag. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. No, you can't.
Yeah. You don't want to date this person.
No, they're super dangerous. But those were a big thing, like how they conducted your account. Because I guess, it's important, isn't it, to be responsible and show that you can.
And it's not unique to, now I'm on a $200,000 a year income, so I'm immune to having to keep track of where my accounts are at.
Yeah.
It's not about the income you're earning.
No.
It's about making sure that, you might have, this is so nerdy, I apologise.
No, I'm a nerd.
You might have a direct debit account where you know that you have $5,000.
But I have one. I actually.
You are a nerd.
I am a nerd.
This is why we're friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have $5,000 a month worth of direct debits that come out.
Yeah.
You put $5,100 into said account each month, so you know all your direct debits come. Yeah, it's all good. They're all taken care of, and you've got a tiny buffer in there that will build so you're okay.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of structure or kind of organization that the banks would be looking for.
Yeah.
And that shows them that you know how to handle money.
Yeah.
You're not a novice when it comes to money in, money out.
Because it's not a little thing. Like you look at properties now, like we were saying the other day, there's not much under $1 million. Like if you're looking at a loan of up to, well, let's say 800,000, that's not a small responsibility. That's
No.
that's a big.
It's funny that you say that, because I was talking to a client the other day and we were talking about their current loan, and it was something like 250,000.
Yeah.
And because of the industry we're in and the numbers we talk these days, I was like, that's nothing. No, that's not. And to the client, they were like, well, no, that's quite big for us. And I'm like, oh, no, I get it. It's big. But also, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
No, I get that because like even the physical cash, right? Like look, you would have been the same in the bank. Like you could go out the back and there'd be like billions of dollars.
Yes,
in
filling the ATMs was so fun.
And you'd be like, meh. Like sometimes
it's a weird feeling though. Off topic. Always. I don't know about you, but for me, I used to get asked when I'd go home, what's it like seeing $350,000 that you're loading into an ATM?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was really cool. Didn't look like it does in the movies, obviously, because it's not in a suitcase, but it didn't look like as much.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
But also, it's a foreign feeling because it's not your money.
Yes.
So there's no emotion tied to it.
But the value goes out of it, hey?
Yeah. There's no emotion. Whereas if I had, I mean, I've never, but if I had $250,000 at home in a drawer, that would have a very different emotion to when you're filling an ATM machine full of the same amount.
Which I think too, on another fact, so bringing it back, is like in terms of what banks look at as well, like we've talked before, like the zip pay accounts, the credit cards, to some people they might go, oh, that's nothing, like it's a $2,000 limit, but it is something that they will look at in terms of how much you can borrow, what your repayments are like on those type of things. Your credit report, everything that you've applied for and have will come up.
And did you know you can get one free credit report per year from Equifax?
Really?
So you can get your own credit report that says what accounts are active, what your credit score is, and it gives you like a bit of a...
It's valuable.
100%. Yeah. But I'd personally be doing it before I went to speak to a broker, just so I knew, even just to take to the meeting to say, is this score of 500? My score's not 500, but is this score of 500 bad? What does this R mean or P mean on my? Understand it more.
And that bank thing I went to the other day, that trained like with a particular bank, they said they would not lend to anyone
automatic decline
under 600.
Automatic decline. Doesn't matter the reason. We don't care. It's automatic. We don't want to deal with you or work with you, rather, if your credit score is below this amount.
Yeah, I reckon that would just be a challenge for anyone. Go and get your credit report. And, it's pretty nerdy, but have a look what you can actually see on it. You can see that there's been outstanding repayments on it, what you've applied for.
The old Latitude card that you swear you closed 3 years ago, but it's still sitting there as open because that cheekily happens.
And the other thing people don't realise is the amount of stuff you apply for. So if you've then gone and applied for 5 or 6 different products, credit cards, personal loans, but even if you didn't get them, they all come up on your credit.
Let's do a credit file podcast.
Yeah.
But let's get Peter Cole from Credit Solutions all about if there's an issue with your credit file, they can have a look at it and say, A, yes, we can fix it. And then, or B, we cannot fix it. And I don't know, that's not my role. I don't know, yes, we can, no, we can't. But I have had their work for clients of mine in the past, and they have done phenomenal work where clients have had a shocking credit file where I've said, I cannot present this to a lender right now. They've gone away and spoken to Peter Cole and the team, come back, and I'm like, okay, we can, you look great. Let's go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot that happens behind the scenes, so I don't want to discredit it, but I think Peter Cole would be a great resource to understanding how important your credit file is. So we might reach out to him and we can invite him.
Not to plug or just that's a difference in the broking world I have found, because applying at a bank, if you've got a bad credit history, it was pretty much just you need to go and chat to Equifax and work that out. And that was kind of that, where there are options that you can, look at, like Peter Cole.
Yeah.
I don't think before starting here, I wouldn't have realised there was that much.
I think that's what really sucks about the finance industry.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I came from banking as well, as you know.
Yeah.
And it was very much that's a deal or not, tick or flick kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of my motivators for why I left working for the bank and decided to do my own thing, because I was like, there has to be a way where we can work with clients to, if they're not ready now, get them closer to be ready.
And I haven't always been as grown up as I am. I had a bad, remember back in the day when mobile phone plans weren't just, now they're like $59 and you get unlimited.
Yes.
They weren't like that. So when I was 18, it was, you had to pay for every single call. And I remember the wake up call that I think one of my first bills was like $1,000.
I never had one of those, which I'm so surprised because I wasn't the brightest. I'm still not.
Well, clearly I wasn't. No, I don't know if I am now.
Oh, I stupidly signed up. They had like a get your phone and your plan with us. It was through Telstra, and you'll get a free Xbox.
Oh, you did that.
I did that. And I didn't even do the math to go, there's no such thing as free, Maryanne. You're actually paying for it. And that year, my younger brother's got an Xbox for Christmas. And I was like, I feel like Santa.
This is like your infomercials.
Yeah.
You bought the thing on the infomercial.
Yeah, the Stone 9.
And then you did that. Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't know.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I did that one.
I've made a lot of mistakes.
Well, I have too, and that was one of them. And it ended up being on my credit report, and it literally, I don't know if they still do, but it's the same, like 7 years until after you pay it back. You may pay it back, but it scarred you for 7 years.
I had this happen to someone very close to me, and they were very young when it happened, and they had a company call them up. This is no joke. The company called them up and said, hey, you have this debt with Optus, Telstra, whomever.
Yep.
But look, instead of paying it, so she hadn't paid it because of the principal. It was actually incorrect, and she was fighting the telecom to say that's not actually a correct bill, I'm not paying it. So they were fighting back and forth. Someone called her in the meantime and said, look, you don't need to pay it. You just need to, I don't remember if it was pay installments and then eventually it'll be gone or whatever. And she said, okay, fine, whatever. What that actually did is list her as a Part 9.
Wow.
And she had no idea.
No.
So when I went to do a mortgage for her, I was like, dude, you have a Part 9. And if you're listening going, well, what's a Part 9? That's the step before bankruptcy.
Yeah.
That is extreme.
Yeah.
And so I could not put her on the application.
Yeah.
And I effectively had to go, you need to fix that debt, get rid of it. And the most frustrating thing was the likes of Peter Cole, when you talk to them, that happens more often than what you know, because that company gets a little extra buffer of money for putting it on a Part 9. And I don't know how that all works. Again, it's not my industry, but I just think it's criminal that you can put someone on a step before bankruptcy and not explain to them what this actually means for their future.
But I also don't think people realise how much, it only takes, going through tolls and you haven't topped it up. You get and then say you've moved address and you're not getting your mail and you're not paying those types of things. You may have things that you don't even know are occurring, but they can absolutely affect you in terms of your credit history. Just something so minute as a toll can turn into, if you're not on top of
a Part 9.
Crazy.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So going back, then another one of the things is that goes onto your ability to borrow, dependence.
Yes.
Dependence.
I had a client the other day ask me if I could remove a dependent because borrowing was tight.
Yeah.
And I had a little giggle at that because I have in the past so this is back when I first started, and I would go to clients' houses and meet them at their home because I didn't have an office. I was just starting out. And when I got there, the lady who had booked the meeting said to me, oh, this will just be in his name, pretend that me and the kids aren't here, because obviously if we go on it, I'm not working, I've got the kids, we're going to bring down his borrowing power. And I was like, actually,
Yeah.
that's not quite how it works.
Yeah.
I physically cannot do that.
And I don't reckon people would realise that if you are like I don't know, you're a couple and you've got a stay-at-home mum, not maybe earning income, and then he's earning income, that partner is a dependent.
Yeah, I hate that conversation because I hate saying, well, now she is, because typically it's the mum that stays home.
Yeah.
She is now dependent on you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, as a woman who's very independent, I feel like I'm saying you're dependent on him. It just doesn't feel right. I don't like it. But the reality of how the banks look at it and the reality of how it works is if one person is bringing income into the household, the other one is dependent on that income.
Yeah.
So it does lower
I
your
guess on
borrowing
the flip
capacity.
too, looking at it, not to be morbid, but if something did happen to him,
Correct.
she is then liable for that household. Maybe not on paper, but if you've got kids, and she will have to,
Correct.
pay
Yeah.
for that type of thing. So I don't think a lot of people would realise that. Or if you're caring, we've had this where a lot more lately, I think I've seen, is with younger people moving in with a parent and say they're retired or they're not earning income. We've had to justify what that will look like when they're past retirement. They become a dependent.
Correct.
They are a cost, or they can be. Not saying they are a cost, but to a bank, that may be a cost.
Yeah,
in their mind.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think just that doesn't necessarily mean, okay, so our family unit has one breadwinner and then the other person is...
And really nowadays it's not a lot.
I think it comes
think
back
we
to,
can.
like you said, it's the conversation.
Yeah.
So I've had conversations with clients where I've said, right, this is your borrowing capacity. And then the partner said, well, in another year or two, our youngest will be ready for school. I'll be going back part-time. This is roughly what my hours and income looks like. I look at it and go, well, then based on that, this is what your borrowing capacity is estimated to be. Because obviously I don't know what the rates will be in the future, and that gives them options at least.
Yeah.
It's about then saying, right, now might not be the right time to buy, but at least we know when I'm back at work. Or sometimes your family tax might be enough income just to make that person not a dependent anymore. So just covering their living costs.
Yeah.
In which case you're not necessarily bringing down the borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
I think it's just understanding all of that.
Because then I think it's our role then too, because you've got such an advantage being a broker that every bank will look at different scenarios very differently. So just having that open conversation about that, I think, is pretty powerful for us too.
Yeah, and like single parents,
Yeah.
there's a lot of major banks that won't take child support unless it's been evidenced for 6 months. But then we've got some other lenders that are quite forgiving. So if you're just newly separated and the child support's just started, you don't have that 6 months worth,
Yeah.
well, they're more open to looking at that as an income source.
Same as family tax too, only up to a certain age for the children, sorry, not kids, a child, can be used with some banks, where other banks are more
Absolutely.
open to it. So it's just a conversation.
Can we circle back to the dependence one? So one of the things as compliance that we need to have on file is a Medicare card.
Yeah.
And I don't say this so you can run off and take the kids off Medicare cards, but effectively what it does is helps us to have that conversation with people when there's I got a Medicare card yesterday and there is a third person listed on it.
Ah.
I am very confident that that third person is no longer a dependent child because of the conversations I've had with these clients. But I'm still going to be asking the question because there's a third person on their Medicare card, which alludes to the fact that there's a child.
Yeah.
So we still need to have that conversation.
Yeah. And I suppose too that like what we're doing, writing a loan, is effectively telling the bank the story of what. So the more information and the more, like, sometimes I think some people go, why is she asking me all of this? Like in terms of, we had one recently, like she's, even being pregnant and what your plans are after being pregnant. It might feel like it's interrogating, but it's just us being able to tell them a story that it's going to be this going forward, and this is what you are able to do, and not always necessarily what you're not able to do, but what you are able to do. So it's really just telling them a story.
But I like that too I don't like to be intrusive at all.
Yeah.
But I like to show the client, so especially having a baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy for people to say, oh, I plan on taking 12 months off and then I'm doing that. Have they thought about the finances? Because we get the front row seats to what the finances look like for that 12 months of mat leave.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a plan in place, then that's a great time for us to go, I think this client from memory had a plan in place, and once we noted it out, it all made sense and it was fine. But if they haven't got a plan in place, it's a great opportunity for us to go, okay, well, you're going to have a shortage around this month to this month. You've got savings at that. You're happy to use that. Does that work? And then at least they then have clarity around, this is what my plan is, and worst case I can go back to work early, but this is what the plan is. Because I think a lot of people are so naturally, you're busy thinking about the life milestones and not thinking about what does that mean for the budget.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I had both, no, probably more dry, but I was pretty career focused, and I was like, no, I'm only going to take the 3 months off. That was it. And then, so if you had asked me, I would have been like, I'm going back to work.
Did the opposite. I quit.
Well, I got on and I had him, and I'm like, no way. Like, I'm not going back. Like, after 3 months, no way. So what I thought I would be doing, or what I thought I would, I mean, I've never had kids before, but I ended up taking 15 months.
It's funny
off.
how it changes everything. I don't judge parents that have kids with their iPads in public places anymore.
No, you do not.
To judge Emily.
Yeah, it's only the ones who don't have kids that judge you. Yeah. But I think if I had have known as well, like, I think it's pretty powerful to know what you can financially do to have. And again, that's the conversation we could have too, going, okay, well, this is what you can afford, or this is what, how much time you could take off. Conversation.
So let's come back to the same theme we do every week, and it's have the conversation with a mortgage broker who has a network of other industries that can help you, multiple banks that can help you, and just different options.
Yeah. Because even, I suppose the way we do it here at 360 is we do have that 15-minute phone call to start with, and it doesn't have to be right before you go to buy. But even if you have that chat, we will ask you what your goal is, and then ask you to sort of provide information or pay slips or whatever. But that's then how we then tell you how much you can borrow, what your circumstances are. But that could be done. That could be done at any time.
Absolutely.
And then if something raises from that, then you can go, okay, well, that zip paid, if you got rid of that, you can borrow an extra bit here, but if you had that prior to, and again, it's another one we say is pre-approval is pretty important to have. So even if you have that chat first, then we move into the pre-approval or what have you, whatever stage you're at. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, because we had that client last week who had a pre-approval in place. They signed a contract in the morning. We did the valuation, sent the contract to the bank, and that afternoon we had the formal approval.
Yeah.
And that was the least amount of stress I think I've ever had in a file before.
And for the client.
Oh,
yeah. Because then the flip we've had where there's been no pre-approval and what a particular bank in the circumstances may have been didn't go through as easy. So then we had to go to another bank for this particular scenario.
And ask for extension. And it doesn't feel good.
And the client's stressing out, going, I've only had 40 days.
This is our dream property. What's going on?
I'm going to lose it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think for everybody involved, it's much more peaceful.
Yeah.
If you have a chat fast.
Yeah. And like you said, that 15-minute phone call is not, I'm not asking.
It's not invasive.
I'm not asking for warrant notice or blood. No. I'll ask for that after the phone call.
She won't.
I think that's about for us this week.
It is.
Yeah. So I'll pop in the show notes below a link so you can book a 15-minute call.
And if I would have a tip, like if you were, I don't know, not a tip, but an exercise, get your credit report.
Yes, I'll pop the link for Equifax in the show notes below, and I'm absolutely going to ask Peter Cole to join us in one episode so that
be cool.
He can tell us a whole lot more.
And if you if you look at him on Instagram, not a plug, but he's pretty funny to watch.
Oh, he's pretty cool.
Isn't he? He's very
He's
entertaining.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Have a great day. Bye.
Dollars on our mind. Ideas all the time. We might get distracted, but we're building wealth just fine. This is dollars.